Hi everyone, my name is Jason Tremblay. I'm here with Arian and Jason. We're both coaches at the Strength Guys here at Sun City, South Africa, attending the 2022 IPF World Championships. In this video, we'll be recapping the performance of Kafui Hotsonyame, a deadlift specialist from Canada, who, unfortunately, due to the TV rules that are new this year at IPF Worlds, was lumped in with the morning session. And this was a theme of our meet that made it more difficult because the guys that we were competing against all were going after us, and we didn't really know what we had to total. So it changed our objective from competing with those guys for placings and being able to have the knowledge of what they're attempting and what the forecasted totals are looking like, to we have to win our flight to place as high as we can, and we have to maximize our total and maximize our deadlift at the end, because one of Kafui's goals was to medal on the deadlift. That was really important to him coming in. So on squat, we opened up around the same as last year at 250, and we went up 12.5 kilos to 262.5 and 7.5 kilos to 270. A slight mishap with the 270. We should have went 272.5. Kaf may have even had 275 or 277 based on how his third moved. But nonetheless, it was very encouraging to see the progress in his squat, because last year I didn't coach Kaf, but he prepared for Worlds doing the Atwood series on the Positions of Power training app, and his squat went through the roof. But the problem was that it was so much squat volume. By the time he got to deadlift, he was just drained. He was exhausted. And so they weren't forceful reps. He started missing reps, had to lower the weight, and his squat went up, but his deadlift went down. And that was something that I wanted to rectify when I started actually coaching him. So I took him down in frequency on squat to 2 times per week, and I really prioritized letting him train deadlift first when he had a lot of energy, so that he could make the most out of his best lift. And we were able to actually make ground on squat, even though the volume was much lower, and there was much more of a balanced training focus leading up to this meet. So yeah, we were really pleased with how Kaf moved that, and definitely he has more in him on squat in the future.
I was trying to remember from last year as well in the squat. Did you have any issues with depth?
He did on his opener, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good for him to come back here now and make 3 squats and really hone in that depth. And yeah, like you said, he may have 2.5 kilos in him, 5 kilos more in him, but just to come and execute,
yep.
It was a better than last year.
Yep. And then moving into bench, Kaf was opening at 157.5, which is the same as last year. We debated between 165, 162.5. Ultimately, I think I made a bad call. My gut reaction was 165. The Team Canada coaches said 162. I deferred to them. Kaf absolutely crushed 162. He probably had 172 in him on the day on bench press, definitely 170, which would have been a PR for us. And we ended up tying his PR last year with 167. But again, he had 2.5 or 5 kilos in the tank, which, looking at the meet in hindsight, which we didn't have the benefit of doing because we were in Flight A, having that 2.5 kilo on squat and 2.5 to 5 kilo on bench would have set us up really well to potentially battle for at least 4th. So Kaf was on all of his lifts throughout the meet, and he came to play at this competition, which was really good to see, because he had a rough World Championship last year, dealing with cramping and a lackluster deadlift training cycle.
Yeah.
So moving into deadlift, we were in a battle with Matteo Moretto of Italy, and also Kyle Graham of Canada, who's another fantastic young 83 kilo lifter. And our goal was just to win the session. That was our first goal. And our second goal, I thought it's going to be pretty close tonight for podium places. And I think people are going to take jumps to try and either secure their placing or to try to gain a new one. And so I thought 325 was going to be a good number, where I thought Kaf had it, and I also thought a lot of people are probably going to start missing around that number. So I thought it would be a good number for us to get a deadlift medal from the A flight. So Kaf locked up, winning the flight with his second of 317.5, went for 325 on the third. He had plenty more in him, potentially up to 335, I thought, based on how it moved. And as it turned out, later in the evening, ended up getting a silver medal on deadlift and placing 6th at this year's World Championship. So this was a 12.5 kilo meet PR for Kaf, which we're quite happy about. And we're also quite happy about the amount of progress that he showed. There's more in him. So moving forward, we need to get him in that A flight on nominated totals, and then give it a good run next year at the World Championship.
Yeah, that's great that the primetime session is 8 lifters, and so you would think that those 8 lifters would beat out everyone knowing the totals, but Kaf is still able to come in 6th place, being in the morning session, everyone knowing his total. And great too, like you had mentioned, that he got 8th place in the squat and 13th place in the bench, but he was able to come away with that silver medal in the deadlift, because they give out individual medals for each of the lifts, and so you're able to at least come away with a medal of the World Championship, something to take home. And especially from last year, he was a little bit disappointed. So this time, coming in, making attempts, hitting PRs, coming away with a medal in the deadlift, and then 6th place to go forward maybe next year, again, that primetime session, and see if we can go for the podium.
Yep. And I think another variable that played into Kaf's performance is I told him, listen, your water cut last year was a problem, because you had cramping all throughout the meet. And why don't you just train at 83? You're going to know what to expect. We thought Kaf was stronger than he was last year. Trained at 83 the entire prep, and what he said to me after bench is, it's like, you know what, training in a deficit, as much as it sucks, I feel great today, because he felt normal, he felt like himself, and his performance really showed that. So Kaf is a special talent. He's only been in the sport for it said 4 years on the live stream, so I think he's got a really bright future in the sport, and proud to be working with him.